Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today, we're sharing some advice around some of the greatest lessons we've learned throughout 2021. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris, one of our final episodes of the year. Before we jump into today's topic, Nick, how are you this morning?
Hence, Chris wearing the Christmas.
Hence, this wearing the Christmas hat.
Yes, because if it was June or April and he's wearing that, I'd be thinking
it's weird throughout the year, right?
Bananas going up here. Maybe we'd be talking about the psychology of business owners.
That's right, yeah. But I thought, hey, we're a few episodes out from the end of the year. It's the 13th of December today. Let's throw on a Christmas hat, cut through the script, make it different.
I'm with you there. No, I'm doing very well, sir. I working away. A great day today. Got a whole bunch of stuff to do, which is cool. Got sessions coming up, and then a little bit of free time. So it's all good.
Very good. Today, we are wanting to share some lessons that we've learned throughout 2021. I've jotted a few things down. Nick's got a few things as well. These are, I guess, things that we've learned throughout the year, picked up through doing, lessons learned through applying, through planning perhaps as well, and wanting to share, whether it's a story or some advice around what we've picked up on throughout the year, because, it's not all about just preaching advice and teaching people strategies to grow their business. We learn through doing as well. And obviously we are evolving and growing all the time, just as other businesses are as well. Nick, did you want to kick things off today? What are a couple of lessons that you can start off with that are really fundamental, something that you've learned throughout 2021?
Yeah. So I've written a few things down around sort of four key areas, I think, that I've learned in 2021. And not only I've learned, but I think our businesses have learned in 2021 as well. I mean, 2021's been an interesting year. I mean, we've already learned to kind of live with COVID. It's here. We know it's here.
Yeah.
So then you've got to kind of understand it for what it is. And it's been weird because then we've had things like, more lockdowns than what we had the year before, more kind of, crazy sporadic changes and all of that stuff that came from it. So the first, I suppose, area that I want to sort of talk about is in 2021, adaptation has been critical. Whether it's our business or any other business that we've worked with, I think I'm just adapting to it because, at 2020, it was a bit of a shock. What the hell do we need to do? We're trying to figure it out, and everybody was green. But then, a lot of businesses kicked off after the initial lockdowns of almost 3 months here in New South Wales. And then, they started to rebuild. Cool. They got through it. And then in 2021, they got slammed again hard. It was, 100 and I think it was 100 or 110 days here in New South Wales once again. So it's huge. It's 3.5 months after you've just recovered to do it. So I think adaptation has been really, really critical. And I suppose, I know we use the word, but, pivot within the environment is what I meant. So in other words, the environment is still there. You still got your own product. You still got your own services. You still do what you do. In our case, what we've done is really target industries that work really well for us. And we know that we're cool at them. So I suppose the adaptation for us was to have a different conversation. And the conversation to most businesses was about, so what are you getting prepared for this, part of your business now? And I've written some other parts, for number 2, which I think, would sort of coincide with this, and we had a different conversation. And today, especially in 2021, if you're in construction, there's a conversation definitely around materials and material shortages. There's definitely a conversation around the ability for you to try to get through the work because, that's also done it for us, I mean, we had a coach that didn't continue with us. Now we've got a kind of problem with, a lot of clients want to join us and we need more coaches. So, and if you're in the same, in pretty much any industry from retail all the way through to hospitality and, supply chain, construction, personnel has been very, very, very difficult to do. So I think, like I said, I think adaptation is the first lesson in 2021. I think it's important that you need to adapt, So.
Yeah, adaptation. I think part of that is whether it's the same thing, probably slightly different, the ability to be flexible. And, like you just said or mentioned before, you're still doing the same sort of thing, selling the same sort of product, selling the same sort of service. We've been through another 12 months of COVID. So being able to be flexible in your approach, I don't know if that's your point number 2, but, being flexible so that you can adapt is really important, but also being flexible. What I mean by that is, not being rigid, not being stuck in your common ways of thinking, not being stuck doing the same sort of thing because you've always done it that way. If the market has changed over the last 2 years, then it makes sense that you adapt and change to suit the market's needs as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I suppose it segues nicely into number 2. And number 2, is accommodation. So you got adaptation first. I need to adapt. And number 2 is more around accommodation. And what I mean around accommodation is I think people need to understand that today the world 1000% isn't going to be going back to any type of pre-COVID world.
Yeah.
I mean, people try to think that, but it's it's not going to go back to the good old days. It's a COVID world now. There's areas where whether we like it or we don't. I mean, at the end of the day, we're at the mercy of governments and what they do and how they do it, and trades and trade unions and all of these things that come to it. But I think today, accommodation needs to go that this is the new norm. Yep. And what I mean by this, with people, if you can't get materials for the next 12 to 24 months, you really need to make that the new norm. So if you're, speaking to a client and they've got an expectation that doesn't meet what your delivery is, all of a sudden you're going to have a mismatch of.
There's going to be an issue.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important to understand that with this adaptation comes accommodation. Now, the other part to accommodation is what do you need to do with regards to staff and being accommodated for them, and also your client being accommodated for them. And let's say if you've chosen to be vaccinated or you haven't chosen to be vaccinated, what do you need to accommodate there? Because even whether it's on somebody's work site or people coming to your office or in your paraphernalia, or because people are still scared with it and all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah,
be it what it is. That's, I'm not here to get into politics, but it's accommodation. The other side to the accommodation is what does it look like for you as a business owner within your mindset, emotion set, and physical set accommodation. Where before you could go, hey, let's go to Queensland for a week. I can't fly to Queensland at this stage, even though the border's open. In my case, I've chosen not to be vaccinated at this stage. So I cannot just get up and do, and I've got clients up there, like we've got clients all over Australia. So there's definitely an accommodation part that needs to be looked at. Do I need to send other coaches there to accommodate that part of it? Do I need to, I don't know, change the way that we do it? And my clients are pretty awesome, so we can still work like this. But there's a part of it that I like to go there as well because the dynamic's different. So you really need to look at it within your business and go, well, what does that accommodation look like?
Yeah, great.
What needs to be the new norm in the business?
Yeah, cool. I think it's looking at the way you operate as a whole and understanding that change is required in order to not only survive, but thrive as well. It's interesting. I've got a client myself that, again, the business owner has chosen not to be vaccinated. His employees have been vaccinated, or some of them have been. For what he does, his clients now are asking him, hey, do you have vaccinated employees because we only want to deal with them. So it's kind of like he's having to go, oh, look, this is our stance. And I was having a session with him. And I said, look, we really need to accommodate what the market wants. If that's what they want, if that's what they're telling us, then we need to figure that part out. Because, if we keep saying, no, this is the way that we're going to be and standing staunch on our point, our opinion, our point of view, we might lose all of our business. Who knows? So I think accommodating to going, okay, cool. What's the market demanding? How do we provide, because employees, they're vaccinated because they want to be, which gives us more options. But it's one of those things we've had to accommodate for in terms of our own sales growth.
Yeah, it's interesting with that whole part of them, and this is very much relevant for 2021. Whether you choose or you don't, there's still always going to be an average of people that, I don't know, they just didn't like your head. That was their reason for not employing that, for not getting you on board. They didn't like your mannerisms. They looked at the website. This just adds another level of complexity, unfortunately, to the game with it. And unfortunately, what's happened here is, the governments and the local governments have, placed in mandates, and they've just left it up to the business owner. Yeah. So once again, this is accommodation. Some business owners choose not to, and they also choose not to discriminate, which I'm totally in line with that. My personal choices from a medical, procedure should not be public at all. It's the same as going, hey, I don't know, we'd discriminate against homosexuality or discriminate against, your skin tone. And we should have learned these lessons, but we haven't. And unfortunately, the research also shows so much so that, all COVID cases in the last 2 months have been pretty much based on people with vaccination. So it's pretty crazy when you think about it. So, but guess what? If you're in business, you need to adapt, and you're exactly right. There's two ways you can do it. No, I only do with non-vaccinated businesses or people or all of that stuff. And there's a pretty good chunk. There's still, 5% in New South Wales, if you believe the stats, but there's still 1 million people that aren't. So is there more than enough people? There probably is, but or you choose to adapt and say, well, some of my team, cool, and then they go that way. It's like with you guys. Most of the coaches are a vaccine, so we'll figure it out. We're fortunate that we've already thought about the game before this, and this is how most of our mediums is. So it's one of those things that, once again, it's very real, it's very here, and you got to try to figure it out. So accommodation is critical. So
great, that's good.
Then number 3, I think that people don't think about it a lot is appreciation. In 2021, I also go, guess what, man? We're still here. Yeah. We're still operating, and we've been stronger than ever. Thank God. Touch wood, and we've grown, and the 2022 is looking outstanding, and 2021 has been a massive year for us here at UpCoach. So I'm very appreciative of being able to do that. I know some people that didn't survive, that didn't do it, that didn't get in there. But I think whether you did or you didn't, I think it's an appreciation of going, considering it's been a pretty topsy-turvy type year, and some people haven't seen their loved ones for a long time. I mean, your borders just opened,
like at 1 a.m. 1 a.m. they I live close to the border.
Right? Yeah,
and the border opened up. Yep.
Yeah, there's all of that. And people, I think Christmas is going to be a very special time for people. I think they're going to sit back and go, we still did it without having to go out to restaurants and go out to play sporting events and go out to do it. We've still figured it out. It's interesting, even with me, I like going out and eating and all of that stuff. And interesting enough, 2021 has changed my outlook a little bit on it. It's like, all right, it's cool, but I really enjoy eating at home. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed making my own food. I've enjoyed not having to go to shops. I've enjoyed, I can't remember last time I set foot in like a Westfield or whatever, I don't need to go there if I really need to. There's all of these things that we take for granted. So there's there's all of these things I think that we can appreciate, so as not only as business owners, I think we're just as humans, we've got to go, shit, man, it's pretty cool, right? Like, and there's some people have had it tough, obviously, but there's we're still here. So, we're cool from that part of it.
I think that's a big part of it. Tony Robbins has always said, when you trade expectation for appreciation, your entire life changes. And I think you're right. There's been lots to, be worried or concerned about throughout the year, but there's still a lot to appreciate on the way through. Being grateful, be grateful for what you do have.
Like a lot of people aren't necessarily doing that, like a lot of people just aren't in line with that, and I think you've got to reconsider your ways, I think, because what we've seen is something that technically we can't see has the ability to affect us in an interesting way, right? And whatever, if you think, whether it's, it's all set up, or whether it's a new world order, or whether it's just bloody coincidence, I don't know. It's like those things that we need to do. One thing that I've always found is humans are very adaptable, and we can do what we do. We've been through worse. There's been plagues that have been insanely nasty, and world wars. And
I was going to say, we're not at war right now, so that's a good thing.
It's pretty cool. And guess what? I mean, even with me, I'm like, so many people want to go overseas, and I'm like, you forgot about the most beautiful country on the planet, which is ours. It's like everyone wants to come to Australia. It is breathtakingly beautiful, and there's so much to see in your own backyard. I've just noticed that, like, caravan sales and cabins, and like even to get a caravan park, they're booked out till February.
Yep.
People have just realized, like, there's so much to see here. It doesn't always have to be. And I'm an advocate. I've been some of the top beaches around the world and all of that stuff, but I still like going to the beach here, and I'm like, fuck, check this out. There's just not many people on this beautiful beach.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, you can't compare us with Europe or whatever, because we're not seasoned like that, and we're not diverse like that. Australia, everything looks like koalas and gum trees, but what I mean. But there's a grandeur about it too, right? It's beautiful.
Absolutely, I agree.
3 hours away is New Zealand, which to me is one of the most beautiful countries on the planet. It's breathtaking.
Yeah.
So if you really think about it, there's so much to be appreciative of. I think that's important.
Yeah, very much so. I think it's one of those things where we get caught up in everything, the life wheel, if you will, and sometimes you just need to put the brake on that and go, hey, let's look at what we have. Let's be appreciative for what we've got. People are always worried about what they don't have. Let's worry about what we do have for a moment and be grateful. That helps us with perspective.
Well, it's funny, like, the things that I look at stuff now, and I'm just like, even brands and watches and all of this stuff, and I'm just like, are you having to wear all of that stuff to kind of be a label for somebody else? And is that what it's really about, or or is it hanging out with your kids and family and friends? And that's what I've missed the most, just being able to hang out with my mates for I haven't seen them for 90 days, 100 days, and just to touch them and like hug them, and it's all of that stuff. That to me is vitally important. Like, gives me anguish when I can't, and that's for me. I don't give a fuck what you're wearing or how much money you got in your bank, or what you drive, or the whole part of just hanging out and just being human. To be brutally honest, I think it's that. It's I think appreciation is really important. So
very good. What's lucky last on your list?
Lucky last, So I think it's important, for 2021, to start thinking about 2022. I mean, that's so I've kind of wrote preparation is the other one. So prep for 2022. What are you going to be doing? Differently. What's going to make your business totally different within 2022, by still keeping the same kind of rules of the game, but also adapting, to a better way to do things, So I think it's important for us to um, think about 2022 because it's weeks away now, right?
Yeah,
Before it
plan
starts. So
plan well before 2022 gets here.
yeah,
Is
and I
the
always
idea.
think a business that's prepared is a business, it's a better than a business that's not prepared.
Mm,
And you've
mm,
just got to reflect. I mean, I know with us, we've got coaching strategy on Thursday, so
yep.
it's one of those things that we're thinking about planning. We're looking at what's going to happen. There's
Mm,
all of these sort of key areas that we're going to be talking about, and I've just written in my diary just this morning to start thinking about preparation
mm,
for that today. And and I think it's important to get ready. Don't go into it and you're halfway into it, and then you've kind of missed the window of opportunity, and you're already 6 weeks into 2022 and you haven't done any type
yeah.
of planning or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean,
We
you
see
know,
that occasionally, actually more than occasionally, quite often, where
see
business
it
owners
quite
will
often, right?
get back from their break, then try and get the wheels spinning with their business again, get back into it, and all of a sudden it's February or the middle of Feb, and they're like, "Oh, and now I'll start thinking about goals." But it's kind of too late. Like you've lost the 6 weeks of the year, you've lost your best platform, and then some business owners don't even set any because they're like, "Oh, well, I'm already too busy. Let's just carry on doing the same thing."
Yeah, yeah, and we spoke about the different Mr. Men on
That's right.
at the at
Yes.
the at the mastermind, right? We're talking
Mm,
about what type of Mr. Man are you, or
mm.
Miss Man, or Miss
Miss
M-
Man, Mr. Man.
little Miss. What type of Miss are you? That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
and I think it's important for us to understand what that's like. So
Mm.
it's very, very important for us to
Mm.
and
Get planning.
get planning.
Yeah.
Very important. So
Good. I've got a couple of things I want to share lesson wise, and I'll make these quick for 2021. First thing is persistence pays. Persistence pays, particularly around things like sales and marketing. A
mm,
lot of people try things once or twice, and if it doesn't work, they throw it out the window, and then they proceed to tell everyone that it doesn't work. Where in most cases they just haven't tried it over and over and over. And I think this was really true with the book that we read this year. I'm pretty sure it was this year. The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes.
no, yeah,
Absolutely brilliant book.
it is.
Um, some golden advice throughout that book if you haven't read it. This mag. Oh, by the way, here's a sneak peek at January's
Whoa,
cover.
the
So we
new one,
picked these up this morning.
hot off the
Yep,
press,
which is hot off the press, literally.
literally hot off the press. Right?
Literally hot off the press. So yeah, the persistence with the mag that we've applied over the last 2 years now, almost 2 years now, is starting to show us some real fruit. So persistence absolutely pays. If you're doing something and it's not working out, don't give up. Go back to it. Look at the strategy. How do we need to tweak it or shift it or try something different and apply again? And keep doing it over and over and over. Success is a long-term game. Like it takes time to success takes time. It's going to take time to get there. We were kind of having a Slack conversation, Nick, about speaking and presenting when we had our mastermind last week. And you said you could pretty much grab your prezzo and jump up and deliver it on the spot without really needing to do too much research, which isn't what you did, obviously. But going into it, it's a matter of cool. I can grab slides and I can probably talk about these topics and move on from them pretty quickly and make it flow and make it engaging and all the rest. And we spoke about time under tension with that. So because you've probably done it 10,000 times, which is getting close to that level of mastery. So
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, 10,000 hours
10,000 hours.
of work.
Mm,
And if you wanna master something, if you wanna be into something, if you wanna, you know what I mean,
practice it
uh,
over and over and over.
over and over again, like you've got to, um, I think it's important for you to consider where you're at and what level of mastery you are with your business, because
Mm,
all of these parts around adaptation and preparation and accommodation become easier because you're more seasoned. So
yes,
it
you're
takes
doing it.
less time and more less time to work on that. And
Yeah.
you've just got to think about saying, well, like do you spend all your time, running around like a chook with its head cut off, or do you know what I mean? Or do you spend more time planning so you spend less time with it?
Yeah, that's
Head
right.
with its chook with its head cut off.
I think, it's the same thing. You do something over and over and over again. Like Chet says in the book, if you're doing something 4,000 times, you're going to get good at it. You want to figure out the right way of what you're doing to do it 4,000 times, but eventually you'll get there. That kind of segues perfectly into my next point. This is something I learned during the year, which I found super, not only helpful, but something that is very relevant for a lot of business owners, which says, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20.
That's a great one.
We're constantly in this, I guess, unintentional fight with competitors or competition or someone that we follow on social media that has a bigger and better, stronger business than we do. And you're always looking at what are they doing? How are they doing it? I wish I had that. I wish I had this. I wish I was as big as them. I wish I had 5 vans on the road like they do. Sometimes you need to pull the reins back and go, hey, how long have they been in business? How long have they realistically been doing this for? What stage am I at from a self-awareness standpoint? And are we realistically comparing apples and apples here?
That's a great line. Don't mix your one with somebody's. That's on chapter 21. Yeah.
Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. It's pointless, really pointless. And when you're starting to compete against someone that's been like for like, sure. And to be honest, in most cases, no business is like for like anyway. Everyone struggles with things differently, and everyone's at a different stage of growth. And I think this is something that we need to keep in the back of our minds. Just focus on what you're doing and do it well. Just stay in your lane, very similar to what we've been doing, and just work on executing at the highest level.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's been a massive winner for us. Just stick to what we do. Don't vary.
Yeah.
Refine it. Make it better. Keep doing it. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. Be aware of what's happening in your surroundings, macro, but focus on what you're doing and focus only on what you're doing. And that's it. Last thing that I wanted to share lesson is to put yourself first. So jump out of business mode for a second, jump into personal mode. A lot of business owners are almost killing themselves, working themselves to death in their businesses, working stupid hours, but they never, ever put themselves first. I likened it to, and I've explained this to a client before, where we all start off the week with a glass of water. This one's a little bit empty at the moment, but if it's full, and every day we give a little bit of water to everyone else, employees, customers, suppliers, people on the phone, our families, distributors, whoever it is. And then that's it. And then we start the next day and we use whatever water's left to do that again and again and again. But a lot of business owners don't refill the glass. No one's focusing on refilling the glass. So the morning routines and things that we talk about with our clients, I know that you're definitely a, someone that everyone should watch in terms of routines, Nick. You got to refill the glass. Most business owners aren't refilling the glass daily. They're not investing in themselves. They're not meditating, reading, journaling, exercising, morning routining, having time to themselves to think. So how on earth do you pour from an empty glass? It's just not possible. And most business owners forget that. So putting yourself first is all about prioritizing yourself first and going, it's important and like almost integral for the business's success for you to put yourself first in order to succeed in business.
Very, very much so. Very, very much so. There's no business.
No business. I've
Pretty simple logic, right?
Yeah. If you're not right, nothing's right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So those are our lessons all wrapped up. Hopefully you got some gold. Hopefully you're nodding your head, listening to this going, yeah, that's great. That's something I definitely need to hear. Or yes, I've learned that. Or maybe you've learned some great lessons as well. Would love to hear them. Throw your lessons onto our social pages or throw it to us in an email at askitupcoach.com.au. This isn't our last episode. We've still got another one lined up for next week. But Nick, did you have any, parting advice?
I think be appreciative of what you've got today.
Fantastic.
Because it's all today.
Fantastic. And we'll leave you with that, guys. Be appreciative of what you have. Thanks so much for listening and watching, and we'll see you all again next episode of Coaching Conversations. Bye now.
Bye now.